All right, we are back. I apologize if I'm very low energy today. I'm super duper tired. It's been a day, and I'm just trying to keep up with everything going on in the world of competitive Pokemon. Today, I want to talk about what is effectively our first major tournament. This was the Champions Arena tournament hosted by Victory Road, Sekiem, Polygor, and Pokealex. This is a over 1,000 entrant tournament that is a couple of weeks into the Pokemon Champions life cycle, meaning that it's some of the best data we have at the moment. Excuse me. I just want to talk about everything that we saw from this tournament, go over the results, and just point out a few standout additions to the metagame that I think a lot of people are going to learn a lot from. It's just going to be my first impressions of the results. I did take a little peek before I started recording, but this is mostly going to be off the cuff. A little bit more of a podcasty video. If you guys enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications, and let's get right into it. So, of course, we need to address the Zard Y Venusaur in the room. Zard Y Venusaur won the whole thing. Charizard Y, Incineroar, Milotic, Sneasler, Venusaur, and Garchomp. Garchomp, we can expect to win like a tournament. It's freaking Garchomp. But yeah, I mean, like it's kind of hard to deny that Zard Y Venusaur is a very strong archetype right now. But what I would say is the most notable addition to the way that this team plays is the Coil Milotic. Milotic is a Pokemon who is, I wouldn't say slept on. I think it's a Pokemon that a lot of people undervalue in low power formats, despite it kind of being like a great all-arounder. It has access to a lot of speed control options like Icy Wind, not a lot, you know, the one, but it has access to a speed control option in Icy Wind, and of course it has the ability competitive, meaning that if Incineroar comes in on it, it's going to be able to deal some pretty massive damage. And of course, Muddy Water is really good chip damage across the whole field, but it does have that chance to miss, which you can completely bypass by going for a single Coil. Coil is going to raise its attack, defense, and accuracy by one stage. That attack stat boost doesn't make a difference. It doesn't matter at all. But effectively what Coil is aiming to do is make Muddy Water more consistent, but above all else, Hypnosis. Because after a single Coil, Hypnosis will hit most of the time. It already technically does at 60, but you get what I mean. And after two Coils, your Hypnosis will be 100% accurate, meaning that Milotic, off of its 81 base speed and pretty incredible bulk, which is now bolstered by the Coils, is going to be able to just sit there, be a nuisance, spam recover, Muddy Water, and sleep things before they can wake up, or sleep things before they can attack. Now, one thing that is notable is that Milotic has been nerfed, or I guess Sleep itself has been nerfed in this generation, or this game. Now, Pokemon will be asleep for 2 turns maximum, which is pretty notable. I think that, sorry, I was really confused what this button did. I think that Milotic is well positioned in the metagame despite that. It's a very physical metagame, so being able to take advantage of the high amount of Incineroars being used to mitigate damage for people's teams from physical attackers, and also being able to just soak up hits with your own Incineroar and your Coil means that Milotic is extremely strong right now. Icy Wind is very good next to Charizard Y. As you can see, there's no Tailwind on this team. It's just like a fat Charizard Y team, which, you know, no surprise that this would win the whole thing. Now, this tournament took place on April 18th and 19th. It's time for me to do my semi-annual Marcos was not wrong. He was just ahead of the curve post. Sinistcha Charizard X gotta be good, right? Question mark. 322 likes, 4 believers, 22 people commenting. But I posted this on April 14th, 5 days prior to this tournament. So we gotta pat myself on the back for that, because it did take second. We had a Charizard v Charizard in finals. Also a Milotic, also a Sneasler. Same 4 Pokemon on the lead, but Sinistcha Zard X. Now, this is a really interesting team because Charizard X is a Pokemon who has a lot of potential, frankly. Like, you wouldn't think it'd be that strong with its only 130 attack stat, which isn't very high for a Mega Pokemon. When you combine everything across the board, it is really unique. 78 HP, 130 attack, 111 defense, and 85 special defense is actually like a really good bulk. 130 special attack is actually really silly. I didn't even realize it had that. But what it loves to do, above all else, is click its disgusting Flare Blitz. It has a stupidly strong Flare Blitz after Tough Claws. Tough Claws grants I always forget what the boost is. I have to go to Lycanroc Dusk every time. It's the only like real Tough Claws one. It is a Life Orb boost, 30% boost to its physical attacks, meaning that your Flare Blitz is not 120 base power. I'm busting out the calc, that's short for calculator, because I don't feel like doing simple math. My physics degree is completely fake. It only works with big numbers, not like easy math. 1.3 times 120 is a 156 base power Flare Blitz. I guess not base power at that point. And your Dragon Claw, a move which is usually not a very respectable amount of damage. Dragon Claw is usually a move that most Pokemon can shrug off, including Garchomp v Garchomp. Like, they just shrug that Dragon Claw off like it's nothing. Dragon Claw, which is 80 base power, 80 times 1.3, is going to turn into a 104 base power, one-shotting opposing Garchomp. It also has that 100 base speed tier, which is very solid in this metagame. Now, sorry, that was something else. We're going to talk about this tournament for today. When you pair a Pokemon like Charizard X, who wants to go for Dragonance, wants to boost its attack stat, wants to just click stupidly powerful moves, with Milotic, who is another Pokemon who is anti-Incineroar, making sure that your Charizard is not going to get intimidated lest they have to deal with +2 Scald and Icy Wind. And above all else, coaching freaking Sneasler, like, that's crazy. It is a powerful combination, a Pokemon that is difficult to switch in on, and a Pokemon I definitely want to check out. But what really holds it together, what really makes this team like function, is Sinistcha. Sinistcha defensively pairs super well with Charizard. It is a Ghost Grass type, meaning it resists Water type attacks, it resists Ground type attacks, and it doesn't, like, you know, care too much about Rock type attacks. They're both, you know, Rock is going to hit Charizard for super effective, but it is nice that Sinistcha is able to deal with that. But the huge thing is that Charizard is a bulky Pokemon that will be getting a lot of recoil from spamming Flare Blitz game to game, and having Sinistcha be able to switch in and out with Incineroar and like just give it hospitality boost while mitigating damage with, or give it hospitality healing while mitigating damage with Incineroar with Parting Shot and stuff. That's just really sick. Like, I think that's like a really interesting take on a Charizard X team. So yeah, Moxie boosted was right. Club population me. This channel is partnered with GamerSupps. If you want to support my work and get great tasting drinks, you can order GamerSupps through my link in the description down below, or with code MoxieBoosted at checkout for 10% off. GamerSupps is a caffeinated product that I recommend only to my 18+ viewers, but my link will send you to their caffeine-free product section just in case. Every product purchased through my link supports my channel financially, so I'd really appreciate the support. Now back to the video. All right, we can talk about third place. Third place is just like sort of a standard Charizard X Tailwind, or Charizard Y balance team. This is just like standard Zard Y with Whimsicott. Interestingly enough, not running Sunny Day, which is typically what you want to see on Whimsicott and this sort of thing. Protect is very strong, though Encore is hard to pass up. But, you know, you have the Tailwind stuff with Charizard Y. You have Farigiraf to ensure that you can't get faked out on your Charizard Y on lead. We do have a Close Combat Dire Claw Sneasler like usual, and a Scarf Garchomp, and a Low Kick Kowtow Cleave Sucker Punch Kingambit. This is sort of like standard fare. It is pretty good. I mean, like, there's nothing like super interesting there. I want to talk about like just the interesting teams. Joe Garte, Joe 9. Big fan of Joe 9. If you don't know, in my videos, I actually have like a really funny deal with Joe. I get free coaching from Joe UX9 whenever I want, in exchange for plugging his coaching in the description of all my videos. That being said, I've only ever taken him up on it once when we first made that deal, and he just lives there. He just lives there. There's like a little thing on my main channel. It says coaching here, parentheses, not me. Yeah, I you know, Joe Garte, longtime friend. Friend of the channel, friend in real life. He ran Sand Hydreigon. I think that Sand is a very underrated archetype right now. I don't think it's like, you know, super duper strong, but I think it's like very underrated right now. I think that Mega T-Tar being able to dominate the Weather War by leading off, setting up Sand, and being able to reset Sand immediately to allow Excadrill to just have not infinite Sand Rush turns, but just like Sand Rush on demand is really sick. Corviknight is extremely strong right now. It's able to pair super well into a lot of really difficult to beat physical attackers. What I would say most notably would probably be Garchomp and Aerodactyl, that terrifying lead. Yes, Rock Slide has neutral damage into it. However, by going for bulk ups, you're not really super duper concerned with that sort of thing anymore. Roost, Tailwind, like that's all incredible. Being able to set up a slow Tailwind late game pretty consistently because you're so fat means that you're going to be able to just not outpace your opponent, but what's the term I'm looking for? just sort of outposition them, end up in a situation where they've lost their Tailwind user early in the game for very little effect, and then you end up going for the Tailwind late game because Corviknight can just do that. Scarf Hydreigon is really cool. Snarl is great damage control when you're facing off in a metagame where there's not a lot of special attackers, but like there are a few very notable ones. I would say Gardevoir, Mega Floette, and Charizard Y being able to just mitigate damage with that is really cool. Not sure what else you really want to Snarl in this metagame, to be honest. I'm like blanking right now, but there are some special attackers. I guess Rotom is notable. Rotom's typically not really like a huge damage dealer though. This one is a Will-O-Wisp Rotom, Citrus Berry, and a Disguised Mimikyu. This is pretty cool. It's like a very balanced team. Its speed control is Corviknight, and also like actually wait, it is just Corviknight. I also just have a Sand Rush with Excadrill and Sand, so I'd say like it's no wonder this team did really good. One, it's piloted by Joe. Joe's just like a phenomenal player. But beyond that, 3 Charizards in top cut, like, or not 3 Charizards in top cut. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll just go with top 8. 5, 6. 6 Megas in top 8 are just hit super effective by Tyranitar. Like, you're winning that weather war. You're just winning the weather war, period, to a lot of these Pokemon. But yeah, they definitely rely heavily on their Garchomps and their Sneaslers to beat sand teams. What else do we have here? We have like a Trick Room team. I mean, like, I can just tell what this is right off the bat. It's just like a Zard Y with like a Trick Room option with Torkoal and stuff. That's pretty cool. Nothing like super duper interesting here, but I do want to look at some of the other stuff. Aerodactyl, Pedro Martinez, Aerodactyl, and Mega Aerodactyl and Mega Frostlass is pretty interesting. Mega Frostlass, we see Blizzard, Shadow Ball, Aurora Veil, Protect. We did see a Frostlass win an online tournament after dropping Aurora Veil for Taunt, so that's interesting. We have a Kingambit here with Choppleberry, Defiant, Protect, Low Kick, Sucker Punch, Iron Head. No Kowtow Cleave is kind of nuts, actually. No, you would think you'd want that. We have a Last Respect Sash, Adaptability Basculegion, a Fake Out Close Combat Dark Claw Sneasler, and a Mega Aerodactyl. Mega Aerodactyl is actually a really solid pick when you want your Focus Sash other places, and it's definitely hard to make use of the... It's kind of interesting that there's no Choice Scarf in that Basculegion, but I can understand why on this team. Yeah, Aerodactyl most of the time wants to take the Focus Sash, but if there's another Pokemon on your team that like desperately needs that Focus Sash, you could just Mega Evolve Aerodactyl. I think a lot of people are really undervaluing how good Mega Aerodactyl can be. Like, let's take a look at this, right? Base Aerodactyl, we know the stats, 80, 65, 75 bulk with 130 and 105. But Mega Aerodactyl, actually a pretty noticeable increase in bulk, meaning that it isn't like as reliant on that Focus Sash. If you do like end up in a situation where you know that your Aerodactyl is going to get knocked out, Mega Aerodactyl is not bad. 150 base speed means you're outspeeding all the other Aerodactyls. Your Tailwind will go first. It is like a speed war sort of thing. But also, its ability is Tough Claws, meaning that your dual Wing Beat is actually dealing really respectable damage. Like a Life 4 boost off a dual Wing Beat with 135 base attack is really good. You're not going to get that boost to Rock Slide, of course, since Rock Slide is not a contact move. But Aerodactyl is like a really scary Pokemon on that front. Yeah, no, I think it's a cool Pokemon. I think it's very underutilized. We do need to address the Mega Meganium in the room. Mega Meganium has been outperforming what I really expected it to do. I always thought it was going to be like a bad Mega going into the game. That being said, I thought that Mega Metagross was going to be in the game, so you can kind of understand why I had that take. Then again, Mega Meganium ending up beating the allegations by having just like really solid bulk and being like a good 6th Pokemon on a lot of teams is really cool. It functions well on Rain, but it doesn't necessarily have to be on Rain. You can see this team is not a Rain team. It does have a Basculegion, but don't let that fool you. This is just like a solid, balancy, bulky team with like a Trick Room option. And Mega Meganium's damage output is like just, you have to respect it. Like, I think that if you're able to get it up under Tailwind, it's going to outspeed a lot of Pokemon. It's going to be able to take on Garchomp. And as long as you're protecting it with the right Pokemon, like Sneasler is like usually the only Pokemon on a team that really is able to take on Meganium super easily. You know, other than like Incineroar, but like Incineroar doesn't always run a lot of attack investment, so it can be dealt with in other ways. You know, I think the pairing of Mega Meganium Aerodactyl does make sense. You get that Tailwind to support the Mega Meganium. Like type-wise, the synergies are really good. Mega Aerodactyl doesn't want to have to deal with Water-type Pokemon. Mega Meganium can just sit on a Basculegion basically all at once, as long as it's not locked into Last Respects and it's late game. But Mega Aerodactyl being able to Tailwind for Meganium while also acting as sort of like a bodyguard for it against Sneasler, the number one issue Pokemon for Mega Meganium, is really cool. Dual Wing Beat bypasses Focus Sash and always one-shot Sneasler. So you gotta respect that. This is a really cool team. I think that if you are running Mega Meganium, probably the best way to run it is going to be with like an Aerodactyl, and like don't like hard lock it to Rain teams in my opinion. I think Rain teams is good for Mega Meganium, but I think that not locking it down to that archetype as a whole is going to be very beneficial for a lot of teams. And yeah, I do want to point out Mega Scizor did actually top cut this tournament. We see it as an alternative Mega to Floette, and that's actually really cool because I think that one of the big issues of this format is that there aren't a lot of Steel-type Pokemon in the game that are like actually resisting Fairy moves. Archaludon and Kingambit do not resist Fairy moves. They have a dual typing that causes them to take neutral damage, meaning that they are not a switch into Mega Floette, and that can be a bit of an issue. So Mega Scizor is a really interesting adaptation to this metagame. Mega Scizor, of course, has a massive attack set. I believe it is 140, if I'm not wrong, 150. It does keep Technician, and it is able to click Bullet Punch. This team ended up running, let me close out these paste I'm not looking at anymore. This team is running Bullet Punch, Swords Dance, Protect, and Bug Bite. We see a Fake Out Sneasler next to it. We do have Tailwind, meaning that Scizor is not actually super slow. 75 base speed, you're going to be able to outspeed a lot of things, go for Bug Bite into them. And Bug Bite's actually like really strong in this metagame. Unnerve is already like a good ability on Aerodactyl, but Bug Bite basically just takes all of the berries in the game and just removes them as a factor. You're going to be able to take citrus berries from Pokemon, take resist berries, and just make it so other Pokemon, they don't have like that little bit of defense up to keep them from being just like dead weight in certain matchups. So that is really cool. Floette, Scizor is like a dual Mega, is a really interesting combo. One thing I do want to say is that we really expected Floette to be an absolutely broken Pokemon. But no Floettes in top 8 is definitely a shock to a lot of people. That being said, I don't think it's because Floette is bad. I just think that it's very prepared for at the moment. And there's the teams that like are going to be winning these tournaments are going to be prepped for a Floette type of team. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. One thing that shocked me is the severe lack of Delphox. I thought Delphox was still very good. But I think that Delphox's power kind of scales with Floette's. Like it's positive matchup into Floette, and it's positive matchup into like Zard Y at times, not all the time. And Gengar is a lot of the reason Mega Floette saw, or Mega Delphox saw a lot of usage. So that is interesting. And of course we have Aegislash. Shout out Aegislash, the other steel type that beats Floette all the time. But yeah, this is an interesting tournament. We saw some cool stuff. MDB ran a Tinkaton team with a Mega Gengar. We saw a couple of other, Mega Aerodactyl, Mega Scizor teams, and yeah, one Mega Kangaskhan team. I want to look at it to see like what's up with it, but I know it's just gonna be like, yeah, Mega Kangaskhan balance, dual Mega stuff. But yeah, I think that's really all I want to talk about. We do see in 32nd place a Mega Glamora. Let's see, Sludge Bomb, Power Gem, just coverage and protect, Snow Warning, dual Mega with Kangaskhan. Yeah, no, this has been a really interesting tournament. I think that like this metagame is really interesting. Is there a lot of Charizard? Yeah, I do think that Charizard is still like top 1 in the format, but its place is contestable. We have seen Charizard X pop up. Gengar, no Gengar in top cut's kind of crazy, but we do see that Gengar did pretty well in the tournament, all things considered, just barely missing out on top cut, with a lot of players just being on the verge of that. I would say that like the most overrepresented Pokemon in this format, man, it really just is the Sneasler, Kingambit, Garchomp show, isn't it? Like those mons are crazy. And of course, Basket Legion is just like super busted. But yeah, I just want to talk about this really quick. There's a couple of more interesting things outside of top cut. The first Mega Delphox we see is in 50th place. That's nuts. But yeah, just want to talk about this real quick. I don't have a lot to say. I'm really tired. There's probably only gonna be one video on the channel today, and then we'll get back into more stuff later on. If you guys enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications, and man, your boy's gotta take a nap. Good night.